Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 modding video. That's right, it is time again for yet another weapon released by myself and Pig. Today, our new weapon comes in the form of the Militia Carbine. This is going to be a brand new 45 semi-auto carbine for Fallout 4, which is a sandbox role we don't really have in the vanilla game. Now, this guy is actually based on a real weapon known as the Spitfire Carbine, a civilian weapon that comes in semi-auto, made out of some mishmash parts. This thing actually uses a lot of Thompson parts and has grease gun magazines, as well as some sort of thrown together receiver. So this is very, very faithful to the real life weapon. There's only a few differences we had to make, obviously, to fit animations, but besides that, it's pretty dang faithful. And that includes multiple barrel options from the real life versions, including a vented barrel and a finned barrel, as well as some different foregrip options, different stocks, and a lot of customization over at the weapons workbench beyond the standard attachments to make this thing anything you want it to be. It can look super scrappy, it can look nice and polished, however you want it to look. You can really play with this thing and have fun with it. Now, like I said, this thing is semi-auto only. Looking at a gun with this profile, all you think about is a Tommy gun. You think about a full auto, really fast firing with a little submachine gun, but that's just not what this weapon is. And we thought that was really, really cool. A really nice looking weapon that has a different role to anything we have in the vanilla game. So we wanted to add this weapon in as a nice little carbine option, maybe for the Minutemen, which is why it is called the Militia Carbine. That being said, if you want to get your hands on this thing, it's actually added to the level list beyond the Minutemen. It does spawn on the Minutemen, but it also spawns on Triggermen, because, I mean, how could we not? And then also it spawns on Gunners and Shops after level 12. Now, something you may notice is that this thing does have stick mags, no drums, and that means it does use custom animations. We are not using the vanilla submachine gun animations, we are actually using anti-stars. It is really wonderful that Anti-Star has a lot of their stuff open from wars to be used as a modder's resource, so we went ahead and took some of those because they fit perfectly for this weapon. We did have to make some adjustments to how the bolt and charging handle work on this gun, but it's fine and it still totally works. On top of that, those custom animations mean that we do get a vertical front grip, something we don't have for the vanilla Thompson, so another thing to make this thing kind of stand out from the vanilla one, to make it look more like its own weapon, which is pretty nice. Now, I did mention that level-less integration, but beyond that, there are also a couple of uniques that you can track down and find out in the world, and they're going to have their own special effects that make this weapon even more interesting than it already is. And let me just say, this weapon is really interesting. I know a semi-auto 45 doesn't seem that crazy, but it is quite a lot of fun as a nice little short carbine that's going to use rifle perks instead of the commando perk. And additionally, there are so many attachments that change the way not only this weapon functions, but how it looks aesthetically. You can have it look like a classic retro SMG, but you can also have it look like a crazy looking sci-fi weapon or a makeshift abomination made out of scrap metal. This thing is really, really cool and really versatile, not only in how it functions, but also how you can make it look. There's a lot going on there. You can play with this thing quite a bit. It's been one of my favorite weapons to use in testing, and just to go play with at the weapons workbench and see what kind of combinations I can come up with. Not to mention, beyond the standard attachments, there's also a handful of painted attachments over at the weapons workbench whenever you pick up one of the uniques, so you can actually play with different color schemes as well. I don't really think there's more to talk about there. I think that's all of the basics covered, so let's actually start talking about some of the finer details of this weapon, starting off with its stats. So for starters, let's talk about the stats on the Militia Carbine itself, the standard variant. This thing has a base damage of 28, as always ignore the 56 up here. That is coming from some perks that I just cannot remove. This thing uses 45 ammo, so no need for munitions. This thing comes vanilla. We've got a fire rate of 66 in semi-auto, a range of 233, an accuracy of 69, a weight of 9.5 pounds with this particular set of attachments, and a value of 101 caps. Now, all of that can, of course, be changed over at the weapons workbench. But beyond the standard configuration, there's also a couple of uniques that we can talk about before we get into the animations. Starting off with the Furious Flacker. This thing is going to be a Raider unique. It's been a while since we've done one, so we wanted to have a nice, fun, colorful paint job with some makeshift parts. As you can see, that is a funky looking stock back there, as well as a nice scrap metal foregrip up here. With a nice Raider paint job, we've got reds and yellows, caution stripes, some graffiti all over the place, the smiley face on the back. This thing is quite a lot of fun, and it also has a nice little explosive package doing an explosive projectile that does an extra 15 points of damage. And if you know the explosive projectile, you know that thing is pretty strong in most cases, and I don't like to use it a lot, but on a semi-auto like this, it's not too overpowered. It just makes a pretty strong weapon that can make it a bit further than the standard configuration, at least in terms of levels. This thing will actually serve you pretty well later in the game, but it's not going to last forever. If you'd like to get your hands on this one, you can actually find it over on the top floor of Layton Towers. Now then, we do have one more unique known as the Devastator, which is going to have a sweet plain paint job with a nice shiny steel, as well as some blue and some stripes and some little symbols here and there. It's pretty cool, a nice looking design, but also it does have one really special trait, which is that this thing is in full auto. I know looking at a gun like this, you can't not have it in full auto, so we put that in the form of a unique rather than making it standard for every version of this weapon. So, this thing comes in full auto, and it also has improved VATS hit chance and 25% less action point cost. So it is still a true legendary, something that gives you a little bit more use out of it, but it's not going to be too overpowered. It's just going to be a nice full auto option of this weapon. So it will be sort of similar to the standard SMG in the vanilla game, except it does have that extra VAT stuff that makes it stand out a little bit more, along with its nice paint job. If you want to get your hands on this one, weirdly enough, this one's actually locked in a vault at the Commonwealth Bank. Now then, of course, we need to talk about the animations. I said this thing has custom animations, so we need to go ahead and show those off. As you can see, here it is in first person with a nice vertical foregrip, a really fun set of raised sights, which is one of the key features I wanted to have on this weapon. And let's go ahead and show off a mag dump and a reload. Now, even though this is my gun, I do have one small complaint about this thing, and that is going to be that when you do ADS, the iron sight recoil is a little bit funky. But that's okay. That's kind of a vanilla limitation. That's how the vanilla animations are for firing. For some reason, full auto is really nice. But semi-auto, they get really weird with the muzzle climb. But it's okay. It's still definitely a very serviceable weapon and very easy to use. If you really have a problem with that, you can just throw on an optic, and that fixes the problem. No sweat. Speaking of those sights, let's go ahead and show off the accuracy of this weapon. They don't seem like the best sights in the world, but they're actually pretty dang serviceable and really accurate at range. So, when we shoot at these targets here, I have pretty much no problem hitting every single one of these targets. Even this last little guy, who usually gives me a problem, is not a problem with this set of iron sights. Not too bad. This thing is pretty dang accurate. There's one more thing to talk about here as well, though, beyond animations and accuracy, and that is the full auto animations. I complained about the iron sights on the last one, but go ahead and check this out. In full auto, it's pretty serviceable. So this is a nice little unique to run with iron sights or an optic or whatever you so choose. There's a lot of options there at the weapons workbench. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and start showing off some of those different attachments right now. So here we are at the weapons workbench. This thing has a whole lot of attachment categories, so we might as well get started with the receivers. We've got standard all the way up through advanced. It is a semi-auto gun, so there's nothing too special there. That being said, we do have a good bit of barrel options. We have the standard short barrel, a standard barrel, a long barrel, a short vented barrel, a standard vented barrel, and a long vented barrel. So you have some good bit of options there depending on what you like aesthetically and functionally. Moving on, we then have the stock section where we have the option for no stock, of course. The makeshift stock, which is made out of some scrap metal, wood, and duct tape, which is very Fallouty. The full stock made of wood, of course, because you need that for a gun like this. The gunslinger stock has a pouch for faster reload speed. The light stock, which has a really cool set of scrap metal and some duct tape. And then the recoil compensating stock, which as you can see has a nice little rear piece that kind of locks into your shoulder. Funny enough, this mod has been updated. Now this recoil compensating stock is actually on the wood stock. I just forgot to update, so my bad. Then we have the magazine section, which, again, my fault here. These things are all out of order because I'm still on an old version of this mod. This is actually kind of a dev version. This is not something you guys have. So anything that you download from the Nexus will be fixed, so don't worry about all that. But we do have the standard magazine and a quick eject version of it, a medium and a medium quick eject, and as well as a large magazine and a large quick eject version of that. Another really cool thing about the quick eject mags is on this mod, they actually do have a different aesthetic, offering a nice little metal loop down here at the bottom just to make them look a bit different, which is nice for more customization options. Now then, we have some sight sections. We have the folded sights, which is going to be a pretty standard set of iron sights. The unfolded sights, which are definitely my preference for a really cool look to this weapon. The glow sights for both the folded and unfolded version, which will add a nice little ring there. We've got a hollow sight, which adds a cool looking carry handle that goes up over the charging handle over here. And this thing is actually inspired sort of from the shape of the carry handle on the Alien's pulse rifle. Since this is pretty closely related to a Thompson, I thought that was a nice, fun touch. Got a nice little homage there, and it's also functional beyond just looking cool. That's some really nice sci-fi aesthetic to this weapon that I think is super neat. So we have the hollow sight on there. We've also got a reflex sight on there, as well as a short scope, a medium scope, and a long scope. On top of that, you of course get a night vision scope as well, which I think is the coolest look on this entire gun. Again, this is intended for a bit more of a longer range roll than the standard submachine gun. It is M45, but it still has semi-auto capability, long barrels, and big scopes, something that the vanilla submachine gun just does not have. Then we have the muzzle section where we have no muzzle, a flash hider, a compensator, a muzzle booster, a muzzle brake, and a suppressor. And I have to say, I really like all these models. These are all really, really fun muzzle devices. This is probably one of the more fun options we had, including this really funky big muzzle brake. This thing is super neat. Definitely helps making this weapon look very unique and very different from a lot of the vanilla weapons. Then underneath muzzles, we have the accessory slot where you can throw on the option for a flashlight. If you really want one, you can have one. A recon laser, which is going to help you mark targets. And then a VATS laser module, which will give you better VATS hit chance. If you like accessories, they are there, but by no means do you need to put them on. You can run this thing stock and retro if you'd like. And then finally, we do have a foregrip section where we have the options for a scrap foregrip made out of a bent screwdriver, which was a lot of fun to make. We've also got a makeshift foregrip, a wood foregrip, and the light foregrip, which is made out of metal with some holes cut in it. Very, very cool design. You can combine all this stuff in very fun and interesting ways. It's a really, really neat gun. So yeah, guys, I think that covers everything in the Militia Carbine mod. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss anything there. That is a really, really fun gun. This is going to be one that's going to stay in my load order. Believe it or not, I don't actually play with every gun I make. Sometimes I'm just not too happy with the end result, but in this case, I really, really am. I like this one quite a bit, and I'm a big fan of the next one, too. This is going to be a really, really cool mod if you're into carbines, and if you're into fleshing out that Minutemen level list, because they don't really have a lot going on in vanilla. So, if you want to try out this mod for yourself, it will be linked down in the description as always. Of course, it is available on PC, and I believe it's already been ported to Xbox as well. With that, if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to drop a like on the video and give an endorsement to the mod if you do like it. That kind of engagement really helps me figure out what kind of mods you guys actually enjoy so I can keep making the same stuff that you really like. Additionally, if you'd like to support my work directly, you can do so using the link down in the description below to support me on Patreon. It is by no means required, a completely optional option, but it is there for people who do like to donate. If you're into that kind of thing, it's there, but again, by no means feel like you need to. That is just an optional thing. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!